Hello, my name is Caitlin Birdwell, and today I'm going to be sharing about some of my expectations that I would have as a classroom teacher. I have come to really enjoy learning about the different grades the last few years in my time as a substitute teacher, and also while studying to get my master's in special education. And one area in particular that I have really come to love is high school age students. Although my degree is K through 8, my master's will be in special education, mild to moderate, and that would qualify me to be able to take on the role of working with high school students. I recently spent time in Kennewick, Washington, working at a local high school, and it was one of the most remarkable experiences of my life. And so, with that in mind, these are some of the items that I particularly used while teaching at this nearby high school for CTE classes with my CTE endorsement. The very first thing is that when students come to class, they're using that time for learning. I can definitely appreciate the wonderful items of the world and the many influences that can occur when we come to school, though. That is a place for learning, and that is our goal, is to learn something new and to take in more than the day before. I really want my students to be able to invest in their education. This is one of the very few times where students in high school or younger are going to receive free education in which they would not pay for tuition or um, any resources that necessarily would go with that. And I want my students to feel that they're taking on something that can be meaningful for them. So I really want my students to be able to invest in their education. I also really appreciate it when my students are asking me questions. I really do love the why questions. Why are we studying the United States Revolution? Why does Tinker versus Des Moines matter? Why should it matter about using X, Y, and Z in this computer application class? We're learning about financial algebra. When am I going to ever use this? Well, miss, how does this work? What about taxes? Um, how do we pay taxes? What about mortgages? What about being able to even do a direct deposit in my account? These are all questions that I've been asked by my students, and I have greatly loved when they have asked me questions. It actually excites me and allows me to then generate future lessons for them based upon some of their questions or what they're looking for. Another thing that I really want from my students is to use that time wisely, um, which I'll lead to in the next clip here. But I want my students to be able to use that time wisely so that way they're able to have a successful day. I really feel strongly that I want my students to not only own their actions, but to make appropriate mistakes and learn from them. This is going to be the time in a lot of students' lives when they are going to have that option or be able to learn from their mistakes, and the mistakes not might not be as severe as when they go older. And I think that this is a really profound time for students to learn from their mistakes, and especially to learn to take accountability from them. One thing that is an absolute must in every single classroom of mine is respecting the space that they're in and others within, and that includes themselves. I really want my students to be able to come to school and know that they feel safe and know that there are no dumb questions at all. And I want my students to feel valued within that space. So these are things that I expect from my students. In addition to what I expect from my students, these are things that I would want my families to expect from me or my students to expect from me. I absolutely believe in respect and fairness. If I am going to implement rules and regulations within my classroom for procedures, turning in work, staying off your cell phones, things like that, I would have that role consistently as a classroom. I will be treating my students with respect. One thing from me as a teacher is I want my students to be engaged, and therefore I would want to present very intellectually stimulating materials and have them engaged, and especially if it's relevant to my students. Recently, I was teaching about the Pythagorean theorem, and my students asked, Miss, when am I going to ever use this in my life? And I let them know there may not be a time when we're looking for a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but the goal is that it teaches you problem solving skills, which is a lifelong lesson. I want my students to feel safe and respected when they come into the environment, and I definitely want them to know that everyone is welcome. And I know that we have a lot of diversity here in our area, and I want our students to feel that they can come to our class, that they know that they're protected. One area that I expect from myself, but I would want my students and their families to expect from me is that I will be collaborating with professionals within my school, across the district, and I hope to be able to continue my education with the different faculty or professors of my own education at Grand Canyon University, taking different type of going on to different events and being able to learn from worldwide or world renowned experts in the fields. Those are things that are really important to me so that way I stay up to date with um, education as it is today. I also am there to support students and to give them encouragement. I will try to answer emails in about 24 hours, so by the next business day. Weekends are a little bit harder, but I do try to make sure that that is something that I can do. I strongly do not believe in homework, and this is why. Um, there are families of every shape and size, and students, when they are done at the end of the day after 7.5 hours, their responsibility goes back to their families. Sometimes we have students who are going to be taking care of little brother, little sister, because mom is a single mom and she's got to go to work, or dad, or vice versa. Or maybe they don't have the resources to do homework at home, such as technology or internet. I don't particularly find issuing homework to be very successful. I feel strongly that the best thing that a family can do is eat dinner together if they're able to. So I will not be implementing homework at all. Students are to complete their homework in class, and if for some reason they do not finish because they've not used their time wisely, then they would have homework. Otherwise, I would extend assignments if the vast majority is struggling and working hard. I will not give homework. I always want the materials that I'm teaching to be ever so slightly challenging, a little bit harder, so that way they're learning to build those synapses and um, build bridges in their brains to be able to connect to new content and to make it more exciting for them. Lastly, one thing that stakeholders, families, students, those I work with, that they can expect from me is consistency. I love consistency in my personal and professional life, and I want to implement that. And so each day, I like to line up at the door and I give my students a fist bump, or maybe a high five if they would prefer. I want my students to feel that they're safe. I want them to feel that they're a part of something more. I want them to be able to know that when they get to the class, that no matter what's going on with me, that I'm there for them, and that they know that I'm there for them. And with that, this is my little bit on classroom management. Thank you.